The Firmament, Finding the Truth. Please pause and read. We've all grown up with the same story, that Earth is just a tiny speck of dust lost in an infinite, expanding universe. We were told that there are billions of galaxies and that aliens might drop by any day. But have you ever stopped to ask where that reality actually came from? It started when we were youngest and most trusting. Our parents, our teachers, and every screen we ever looked at reinforced this one narrative. But what if we aren't lost in an ever-expanding universe? What if we were actually at the dead center of the universe in a place so unique it defies everything we were taught to believe? Look back at every ancient cosmology. These people weren't told what to believe by a curriculum or mainstream media. They went outside, looked up, and mapped out the heavens themselves. And they all came to the same conclusion, that these stars were rotating above our heads, making their own orbit in a fixed, predictable way, and it hasn't shifted for thousands of years. And they all came to the same conclusion, that these stars were rotating above our heads, making their own orbit in a fixed, predictable way, and hasn't shifted for thousands of years. They believed the heavens above were an unchanging timepiece and that the Earth wasn't spinning or moving. They believed it was fixed and immovable. They believed it to be perfectly still, and in the book of Genesis, the entire second day of creation was dedicated to a single structure, the firmament. This was understood as a vast solid covering, a celestial dome where the sun, moon, and stars were placed, and it divided the waters below from the waters above. This wasn't just a biblical idea. Ancient cultures worldwide built their most massive structures to align perfectly with these fixed constellations. And thousands of years later, those alignments still hold true because the heavens are unchanging. To the ancients, the Earth wasn't a spinning ball wobbling through a vacuum at thousands of miles per hour. No, they believed the Earth was perfectly still, stationary, and immovable. They used the sky as a clock to track days, months, and years, because the gears above were the only things moving, and that's how they understood things to work. That the Earth was stationary, relatively flat, with a fixed, solid covering. And interestingly enough, there was a structure known as the Georgia Guidestones that was recently destroyed, which showed the North Star in the center hole, and it never moved. Now, we were taught that Columbus sailed around the Earth in a big circle and proved the globe. But if you look at the maps from that era and even later, they still showed a stationary, flat Earth with Antarctica acting as the great icy edge of our world. Even as recently as the early 1900s, there were still schools teaching that the Earth is flat and fixed. And very soon, we will take a look at the first person to ever venture up to see what the Earth looked like, and we will dive into the truth behind NASA footage and documents on part 4 of The Firmament, Finding the Truth.